Safety. It's a big thing in the workshop. If you don't feel safe doing something or you just don't feel comfortable, don't do it. You're the only person who can keep you safe. And if you don't do it, no one else can.
Well, good day everyone. Today I'm going to show you how I make these little lighthouses. Now, this is a lighthouse that you can make, and you only need a lathe to turn it, and it's recessed in the bottom here so that you can put a little tea light in it. When you put the tea light in it, you can see that you have a light showing in the windows at the top of the lighthouse there to warn the shipping, rocks. So that's one lighthouse. That's all you need to do is turn. This is another lighthouse, and you can see that I have some engraving on this. Similar thing. Put the light in it and it shines up in the lighthouse there. But they both need to be turned the same, just like this one. One is going to have these holes drilled in the wood, pre-drilled, and the other, the laser will cut the windows at the top. I have a piece of wood here, and with 3.5 inches, well, just a smidgen under 3.5 inches, up to about a 32nd under, well, 3.5 inches near enough anyway, to a hole, 7/16 hole drilled through this way and through this way, so 90 degrees apart from one another. This block of wood needs to be square, same distance, the same width and thickness, and about 6 inches long, just on 6 inches long. And when this is turned down, those holes will become the windows through here. But it's the same turning method whether you have the hole in it or not. You just don't need to be so precise as to having a square piece if you're going to make this one, because you could use an old piece of firewood, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to show you the turning, and after, on this one, I'll show you how I engrave it. So, if you don't have an engraver, you can make this one. If you do have an engraver, you may want to attempt this one or something similar. Okay, first we're going to mount the blank, and we'll mount it. This is the base. The 3.5 inches down is the base, and as usual, I've made a little template so you can see that the hole here comes right in between the little walkway and the roof. And I'll use this to set my calipers and mark the locations of the important dimensions. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a little tenon on this end so that I can hold it in my chuck while I drill this end. So we'll mount it this way. Oh, don't think you can see that. Let's move you back a touch. We'll mount it between centers. We'll turn the tenon on this end here for the chuck. Now it's important that you have this mounted centrally. I'm looking down here, the gap between the tool rest and the corner as it goes round, and it's pretty central. Good enough. Now I'll be using my roughing gouge. Make sure it's clear. There. And it'll help if we tighten that up, eh? Now normally I'd recommend about 2¼ inches for this particular design, but this piece is only 2 inches, so I have to be careful because it's 1¾ inches at the biggest diameter. Don't have an awful lot to play with, so we'll just make that into a nice little, use my bowl gouge to do that. Well, we'll use a spindle gouge. Spindle gouge is a little sharper point. So I'll be able to get the tighter corner there. We don't want this too long. There. This doesn't need to be very long. In fact, it can't be too long because the dovetails in the chuck are only so long. But that should give us a nice grip. Let's take this out. Now my favourite chuck, one-way chuck with the tower jaws. Nice dovetail. There. Yeah, running nice and true. So now we have it mounted this orientation. You can see with my little foot here, I just pull it up against the bottom and I'll be able to mark my lines around it in a little while. First thing though is to drill this here. So we've got 1.5 inches force and a bit. We're going to go in 7/8. Turn the speed down a little. What have we got? About 630. A 5/8 drill. We're going to go in 3 3/4 from the shoulder, level with the shoulder here, 3 3/4 inch in, just up above that window. Just line that shoulder up. Oh, that's pretty lucky. Yeah, there we go. Shoulder lined up. And 3 3/4. Set my ruler here to 3 3/4. Three and 3/4. Right on. 3 3/4. And we could probably do it a little more speed, 800, something like that. And we'll just drill down until we're at 3 3/4. Probably have to clear the chips. Now would be a good time, I think. I'm just going through the hole there now. There's very little resistance. Just coming out the other side of the hole. There. Okay, so now we've drilled the 5/8 hole up to here, and we've got the 1.5 inch hole drilled 7/8 deep. And this is the hole here that the, oh, how do I get it out? The tea light, there, simple. I'll put my live center back in, and I have a little soft touch that fits on the end of my live center. Now this will go inside here and give us a little bit of support while we turn this now. So first we'll turn it so it's round. Just about 1500. Not round yet down there, but here's the first one we need. This first diameter is 1 3/4 inches, and I can set my calipers right from this little template. This template is made to size, and I always put usually a 1 inch square on it, just so as I can measure that to make sure that it's to the right size, that I've got the ratio correct when I print it. And so 1 3/4 inches, and I always like to size with a parting tool. So that's done two things. It's marked where this shoulder is, and it's given me a diameter to turn that down to the 1 3/4. So I got this shoulder marked here. That's this edge here. So I need to go down the outside edge of that now to the next dimension. And the next diameter, what is it? It's, I don't even know what it is, 1.5 inches, I guess. So I set the calipers to the 1.5 on the template, and I'm going to go down the side of this one here with my parting tool. Just on the edge of it, like that. So now the next one, did I get it anywhere near? I'm just going to make that round because I didn't put a good mark on it there. Put it in reverse, slow it down, and just line that up. So the next one is down here. That's this diameter here, and I've got a line there. So I'll go just this side of it and go down to 13/16. 13/16. The next set of calipers should be. Oops, I don't know what that is. Oh, I see. I put one up here. That screwed me up, didn't it? Here they are, 13/16. Right on. Perfect. So I want to go down here. Now it's quite deep, so I'll widen it up to give it some clearance. Maybe a little faster. Clearance. Little clearance. Now, important safety tip here. Need to go down to 13/16, which is what this is. Here, that's going to be the piece in between the balcony and the underside of the roof. But we've got holes in there. So I can't size that with it running because the calipers could easily get caught in the holes and it would be dangerous. So when you come to do this one, you've got this one as a guide looking down there for your sizing, and then you stop the lathe to measure it. About 1500 again. have two. That's the bottom of the roof, and this is the top of the balcony. Have a little look, see how we're doing. See if the holes look, yes, the holes look even, so it's a good sign. Still got a little ways to go yet. Okay. Don't forget, if you have an interrupted cup, don't try and measure it while it's running. You see how easily the calipers get caught in there. Okay, still got a good 16th to go or so. See how we're looking. Still got a 16th or so. Getting closer. Okay. Now I do have a little square skew gouge. It's like a bidan, I guess, that I can maybe do the bottom of that better. Just got there. It's a little tight, but just a smidgen tight. Just a smidgen. How thick does that look? Oh, it looks about right. Looks good. So the thickness, you can see the thickness of the wall down the side of the drill hole. So now what have I got here? I have my witnesses, and at the bottom of this one here, this diameter, bottom of this diameter down to there. I have some witnesses of diameters that I need. So I have to taper now and blend from this one here, let me point at it with a pencil, from this one here down to this one here. So I need to cut that material out. Now, if I had been smarter, I should have probably done that, taken the bulk out before I took this down, because this is quite thin here, so you have to do it gently. Can't be forcing a lot of material off. And this one here, well, I'm going to use my square skew chisel here. You can see why I like using a pencil. You can just start to see I'm just getting to that diameter now, the finished diameter. There. And this one here too can work pretty good on this one. It's a skew chisel after all. I think I should take some of this off here. What diameter is that now? That's 1 1/8 inch, 1 1/8 inches. And again, when I'm taking to a size, I come back to my trusty We're almost there. And of course you can always do that with a regular skew, half-inch skew here, with the point down. It's pretty safe. Using it like a scraper at the moment. There. Now I always finish up with my little negative rate scrapers. Oh, I got a little bit more to come off up here. More than I thought. Take it off with the square skew. Yeah. And good old negative rate scraper. Have a look at that. I have a couple of lumps here, a little bit wavy. We'll clean them up. There. I think that looks pretty good. It's ready for sanding, I think. So let's have a look at the roof here. We've got a diameter there of 1 3/8. Spindle down. I think I better sharpen this one up too. Okay. Sharp tools make a difference. Well, maybe it's time to sand. We've got some 180, 240 and 400. Here's the 180. Paper towel and some tried and true original. So now we use some Nova Silk. Abrasive paste. Mixture of Vaseline and pumice. Same little spot on the paper towel. Now dispose of your paper towel with oil and wax on them, or oil especially, I guess, properly. I put mine in a bucket of water. Clean paper towel. Yeah, beautiful. I'm guessing that's walnut. I wasn't sure what it was, but it really looks nice. Yeah. Okay, we just have to part it off now. There. Spindle gouge. Sound changes. Yeah, beautiful little lighthouse. So now, to turn the other kind, the one with no holes in it, is exactly the same. There's no difference. Other than this one, you have to be careful of the holes. You cannot put a caliper in there when it's spinning, whereas this one you can size it down to the size quite comfortably when it's spinning. Yeah. Okay, the next phase is going to be engraving one of these and show you how I use the engraver to cut out the windows and put the little door and the markings on it and little shingles around the roof. There it is. I usually will build buff these after I finish them here, but they look pretty nice anyway. So that's it. Hi, welcome to my laser corner. Here's my laser. It's a Creality Falcon 2. It's a 20-watt laser, and you can see I have a rotary attachment in the laser. Normally, when you send a file to your laser, you have your piece of work laying here where this piece of cardboard is right now, and you send the file and the laser head will move on the X and this is the Y, This is the X. The laser head will move and follow the instructions that are sent to it and engrave whatever it is you're engraving. When you have a rotary attachment, then instead of the Y going up and down, the Y is fixed, and it's fixed right above your rotary, right in line with it. The X still works the same way and goes backwards and forwards, but instead of the Y going up and down, your rotary now rotates backwards and forwards for the Y movement. So now, in order to operate a laser, you need to use some kind of software. Okay, well, this is the software that I use. It's called Lighthouse, and it's a great piece of software, by the way. And what you use this for is to create your design that you're going to send to the laser. It will take the design, turn it into a machine code, and send it to the laser, and it will have the instructions of when to turn on the laser, how strong to turn on the laser, when to turn the laser off, where to move the laser, the different directions to move, and the speed to move. So you really only turn it on and off and have an amount of power, percentage of the power, say 100% or 20% or 30% of the full power. It's only those two instructions that the laser beam actually does. The rest is controlled by the two axes, the X and the Y, moving it in a direction and at a speed. So the faster you go and the less power, the more you're just going to burn the surface. And the slower you move and the more power you use, the more you're going to cut deeper into the material. So the goal I have today is to show you how I engrave these little lighthouses. You saw me turn this one, or one like it, and now I'm going to engrave the different details on it that are on this light, and cut the little lighthouse windows as well. Okay, in order to engrave something, you have to have a design. And here you can see I have a design of a butterfly. Hope you can see that. Make it a little bigger so you can see it. And you can make your design bigger or smaller, either by grabbing the design and just pulling one of the handlers on the corner, so you can see you can make it bigger or smaller. And you can set the width. The width at present is 101 millimeters. I could make that 200 millimeters by putting the 200 up here in the width, or I could change it also by changing the height. So you see that having created a design, you can size it to whatever you want. If, for example, you wanted to put a design on this little box, you would measure the box, and you know what size you have to make your design for it to fit nicely on the top of the box. So you make your design and you size it to suit what you want. Now that gets a little bit trickier when you have a rotary, because to make the design and to make it to the right size, you need to know what size this surface area is, this around here. So you can kind of see it, get a picture of it by, if I wrap this piece of paper around there, it's covering that whole surface. And now if we let the piece of paper come, that is the size that we want our drawing to be, our design to be, so that it fits onto the cylinder. So we can do that easily in Lightburn. If, for example, well, we don't have to go, for example, we can, I've already measured this one, and the base, this base here, I know that the diameter is 45.66, and I know the height is 25.5. Okay, let's get rid of this butterfly. And if we go up here in Lightburn, we can open up the rotary panel, and here we can enter the diameter, the object diameter. And the object diameter we said was 45.66. So we enter 45.66 into that, and it tells us straight away that the circumference is 143.445. So we'll copy that and say okay, we know what that is. Let me pull the drawing in that I have, duplicate it and put it in the middle of the panel. Here's the drawing of the two doors that I want to put on this bottom panel here. And we know for a height, we want to have a height of okay, so now with this object selected, the height we see is 143.445, and when we worked it out, it was 143.445 for the circumference. Okay, so we have the height, or the circumference, of this here. Now the other way, we'll unlock the aspect ratio lock, and we'll say the width. What was the width? The width was 25.5. We'll put 25.5 in the width, and that will set the width of the part. So now, if I select this object here, we see that the width is 25.5 and the height is 143.44. So I've taken my design and I've made it the right size to go around here. Okay, so the next thing is to set this in the rotary, and in order to do that I have an extension shaft here and a center that fit down the hole in the middle that we drilled like that, so I can put my center here and center this end and rotate this. Okay. Okay, you can see that I have the lighthouse centered on my rotary now. Give you a better picture. There you see it's running pretty true. Now the next thing we have to do is line up the head, the laser head, and I have a line. I have a line down the center here, so I'm lining it up with this bottom edge. Sometimes helps me to put a little flashlight on it, and I can see that line, and I line it up with the bottom edge here. There. So that's where the bottom of the lighthouse is. The other thing we have to do, and this is a fixed position, is line it up so that it is right over the center of the little stick here that sets the distance of the y-axis position. Okay, we're back. Now I've also closed the cover of the laser enclosure there. So we had this the right size now, the design we want to put on it. We've positioned the lighthouse in the laser, and we've positioned it, if we put laser on here, use the laser screen, we can see that I have selected here current position and the job origin. So you see this little green square here, I don't know if you can see it, but there's one here there's handlers on each corner and in the middle, but there's this one here is green, right on the line. What this is saying over here, it's telling the laser that the part is positioned relative to the design so that the laser is sitting right over this spot here. Okay, so this is, you're telling the laser this is where you are. Now you know the design, go off and engrave relative to where you're sitting now all of these items that we want to engrave. Now it's always good before you actually send it off to do that to check on the cuts layer, because each one of these different colors is a different layer, and you can see this is where you set, for example, we can flash that, you see the blue flashing here, that's because it's on this layer here, and this layer here runs at 3000 millimeters per minute at, I think it's 40% power. Okay, so all the lines and curves and everything are on that layer. That's what they're going to do. So the laser looks at all of the program, Lightburn looks at all of this, and it creates a program to send to the laser. And you can preview what that program is going to do. It's going to actually, it shows you here, and we can even play it. It's at 5 times speed right now. Slow that down a little bit so you can see it at its actual time. There, it's just done the last little doorknob. Here, I'll play that again at real time. So you can see it engraving here. We'll make it bigger. See it engraving the doorway, the frame around the door, going over to do the other door. Now when it goes over to do it, of course it has to rotate the lighthouse around in the rotary there. Each of the vertical lines you saw there was the rotary rotating to do that. Okay, so you can preview what it's going to actually do, what the program that it's going to send to the laser does. Say OK to that. So now we're all set to send this to the laser and let it engrave. So I'll just put the extractor fan on, because the laser burns the wood, creates fumes, whatever it's burning, so I vent those outside. Okay, so now I'm going to start it. Oh, one other thing I forgot almost, I have a camera in there. So now the camera shows us looking over it. There, here's the laser head, here's the rotary chuck, the chuck rotary, here's the top of our little lighthouse. So when it runs, you can keep an eye on it without having it open. And one of the things, of course, you're looking for, I'll start it now. Oh, there's a little check for layers, focus. I see I didn't check the focus height. I'm just going to have a quick check. That's exactly what that little pop-up is for, is for me to check current position, preview. Yes, we've done that, so yes. So now it should start, and you see the x-axis movement, and you see the rotary rotating in here while it engraves those two doors. Now there's a little progress bar over here. Whoop, there, it's pretty well done, I think. I've just done the last doorknob there. Now it says it's done here, ready. It's done. Let's go have a look at it. Just move it back out the way. Rotate it round. There, see? There's one door. There's the other door. Okay, so now I'm going to line the head up with the next point here, and we'll engrave the next panel. I tend to think of these as panels because the diameter is always changing, so you have to set each one. So I'll set up the next one. I'll set this so that it's in line with here, and put it over the top again, and we'll be back to do another one. Okay, so we did this one. Delete that, and we'll put the next panel that we want to engrave. We'll duplicate it and put it in the center of here, and you can see that this is the panel that has all of the engraving on the side here. And you'll notice, I hope you can see, that the windows look wrong on the drawing. That's because I've had to taper them, warp them, so that when you put them on this taper, when it actually rotates it, it rotates it enough so that they look normal on here. So there's a few little tricks to doing tapered stuff, and I call that the body, and I have to do the same thing to this. We'll open up, we'll unlock, oh, got to select it first I guess. We'll unlock, okay, the aspect ratio is unlocked, and now the body is 38.6 diameter. That's the diameter around this edge here. It's 38.6. So we go up here, we put a diameter in 38.6, and that's 121. 121.265. That's the height we should have up here. Control V to put that in, hit enter. Okay, 121.265. We start with a diameter of 38.6, gives us 121.265. Okay, everything's correct. Say okay. Now the other thing we have to do is set the width. Are we recording? Oh yes. Is set the width. The width is of the body is 50. Oh, 50, it's 50 already. Good. So we have just set the diameter here and the width. So that design will now wrap around there. And I set in the laser so that it was pointing right in the middle, right on this edge. Okay, so you see we have the little green square here, and that's because we've got job origin over on the left center, so that's telling you that's where it is, and the current position. So we're telling Lightburn the current position of the laser is right here. So go and engrave all the rest of this. I'm looking at the layers here to see that the speeds and feeds and everything are okay, and we'll do a preview and we'll make it full screen, and you can see what I meant here maybe about the windows being backwards. This is the top of the window, this is the bottom, but we know that it has to be warped like that just so that it works out on the job. Okay, let's just run that, play that. It's running at actual speed, so I'll speed it up a little bit so you can see This is the way that Lightburn has decided it's going to follow that design. I create the design, it decides how it's going to follow it. There are some parameters you can put in, you know, about taking the most economical route and all these sort of things. So that's what it thinks it's going to engrave. That's the file it's created to send to the laser, and I'm happy with that. So we'll say OK. So we're all ready to send this to the laser again now. Yes, everything's okay. I'm going to get my little pop-up window. Then I check the layers, yes. Focus, yes. Position the laser, yes. Current position. Preview it, yes. I did all of those. Oh, let's turn the camera on. I'll do that after, so we say yes. Camera. There it is. So what we saw in the preview is what we're seeing here now. It's sending that same file to burn it onto the side of the lighthouse. So I tend to think of each of these as a panel. There's this panel for that one. There's a panel for this one with the design on it. There's a panel for this. There's a panel for putting the holes, the windows in. And there's a panel for putting this design on the edge of the roof. So each one is the same as I've just shown you. You set the laser head up at the current position and run the design. Okay, it's done that. Let's take a look at that and then we'll move on. I won't make you sit through them all. Let's just have a quick look. There. You can see the windows now, they came out square looking. Even though on the design they were warped bigger on this end. You can see how the size of the shingle too reduces as it gets up to the top, down to the bottom of the taper. Yeah, okay, well I'm going to let you go. I'll bring you back when I finished it and show you the finished object. There. Just finished this one. This is the one we did together. Yeah. Now if we put a little light up in the, we can see the light through the windows. There. I may have one more thing to try. If I do, I'll bring you back and show you that. But basically, that's how I turn and engrave these little lighthouses. Well, hi friends. One final thing that I wanted to try, had an idea, and that was to make a little reflector to go on the top of the lighthouse so that the tea light would reflect out the windows. So I used a little piece of foil and I made a little pointy stick and I wrapped the foil around the pointy stick like that. I just cut off the piece that's sticking out the end there, and I have another stick with the reverse shape in the end that I can put over this stick and spin it around and make a conical shape of foil. Now just cut off the excess there. Put the cone back on there and trim it again. So we end up with a nice little cone. We end up with a nice little cone like this. Now we've got this stick with the hollow in the end. We can put that in there. Put some hot melt glue in here. And then take it and push it up inside the lighthouse so that the glue sticks the cone up underneath the roof. And then when you put your tea light on, you can see the light reflecting. We put that in a less light situation. Yeah. Now you can see the light in the lighthouse flashing away, keep the ships off the rocks. There. There's a nice little picture. There. There's the little lighthouse. Pretty, isn't it? Hey? Hope you like it. Right, bye now.